Howdy, Tallahassee. This is your student meteorologist, Nikki Kanakis, here to bring you your Friday edition of FSU weather. Look at this beautiful sunset over Doak right now. It is peeking through the clouds, but you can still see some oranges and some pretty pinks right along the edge there. It's currently 60 degrees, and it's a little bit windy, so if I were you, I'd probably wear a jacket, as when I stepped outside, I felt like I was lacking a little bit of warmth. For our current temperatures, as I said, 60 degrees in Tallahassee, and the farther up north you go, it is in the 50s in Thomasville, 59 in Bainbridge. But honestly, just mild temperatures for a gorgeous night out. If you're going out on the town, it's going to be dry, which is different from our wet morning that we had, but as you can see, that rain that we had is moving towards the east. And for tonight's headlines, a beautiful weekend is ahead. We are going to see some plummeting temperatures in the northeast. And what in the world is a weather sounding? All that and more tonight on FSU Weather.
Good evening and welcome to the, what is today? February something edition of FSU Weather. I think that's about right.
Friday edition.
It's sometime after Valentine's Day. It's Friday. That's all that really matters.
It all runs together now with college full in swing.
Yeah.
But I'm student meteorologist Chandler Pruitt.
And I'm student meteorologist Ryan Steger, and we've got a honker of an episode ahead for you. I think I'm wearing the right colors here. I've got garnet and gold on. You're wearing some not so good colors,
no,
my friend.
I know. I've always loved orange and blue. Kind of made the mistake of going to FSU for that, but it's okay. I always get a little bit of a shout out when it comes to
well, I mean,
that color
FSU
scheme.
baseball is back. They're looking good.
That's
if
right.
you're over at Hauser, there's some great weather out for you. So I think today's just a great day, and it's going to be a great weekend weather-wise as well.
That's right. Of course, if you are trying to hit the town tonight, you'll probably want to put on a jacket. Temperatures are kind of plummeting even here in Tallahassee locally. We'll get to that a little bit more in just a second, but I mean, it felt much warmer this morning than it is right now, right?
Absolutely, and not only that, we have a warm-up on the way. We're going to be approaching 90 degrees by mid-next week. I think that's going to be something of an adjustment, just kind of having to change the wardrobe from that.
That's right, yeah, a big roller coaster, exactly. You have to change out those clothes, take the winter weather clothes, and probably you can almost put them away now, maybe keep a jacket out for evenings like tonight, but going into next week, yeah, it'll be all shorts and t-shirt kind of weather. And
this is the kind of weather I think a lot of us came to Florida State for. If you're from Florida or if you're from somewhere else, you came to Florida for this kind of weather. And for more on how this kind of weather is perfect for Florida, here's Elizabeth with a look around town.
Thank you so much, guys. So yeah, we are going to see that warm up into next week. However, right now though, we're sitting pretty cool. It is 60 degrees under mostly cloudy skies, and those winds are a little bit strong. They are coming out of the north-northwest at 15 miles per hour, so it's definitely making it feel a lot cooler than it actually is. And for our record and averages today, we hit 78 degrees for our high temperature today, which is much well above the average, which is normally 68, and our low was quite above average as well, which is 44 degrees. But we are going to see that change heading into later on this evening and throughout the rest of the weekend. But our record high temperature was 83 degrees. Personally, not for me in February at least. Sitting across the rest of the Big Bend region, we're sitting in mid to upper 50s across southern Georgia. Again, 60 here in Tallahassee. A little bit cooler down by the coast. It is 59 degrees in Apalachicola and 61 in St. Mark. So pretty cool right now. And so that rain that we got a little bit earlier today was a cold front that came through, which is why we're sitting much drier now. So we are sitting at 44 as our dew point in Tallahassee and 34 in Donaldsonville, so quite dry up there. And then we can see we have this green off to our east, which is that more wet weather is ahead of the cold front. And because we saw that cold front move through, our winds are coming out of the north now. Again, quite breezy here in Tallahassee and down by the coast as well, 12 miles per hour in Apalachicola, 13 in Donaldsonville, so pretty breezy across the entirety of the area. Here is our local radar zooming out into the southeast. Here's our front right here. We see that rain that we saw earlier, and then as we zoom in towards us, we saw that rain move through, and as of right now, we're not seeing much going on our radar, which is very nice for your evening plans. For our future cast heading into tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. We're going to sit at 40 here in Tallahassee, upper 30s across southern Georgia, and as we head through the rest of the day, hardly going to hit 60 there, and heading into Sunday morning, 47 degrees here in Tallahassee, 56 in Marianna, and a little bit warmer down by the coast. It'll be 59 in Apalachicola. And for the rest of the night, we might see some, well, not might, we will most likely see some 30s across the area. 36 here in Tallahassee, 35 in Bainbridge, and I read that those wind chills could possibly see some of the 20s in our northern counties. So be sure that you do have your heat on tonight, and as you're heading out on the town, that you do have that jacket ready. For our dog walk forecast, if you enjoy the cold and if your dog enjoys the cold, it'll be a nice day tomorrow to walk your dog. It's going to be sunny, so rain isn't going to be an issue, but by 11 a.m. we'll only be at 50 degrees, so that's something to watch over. And for tomorrow, we're only going to sit into the middle 60s here in Tallahassee and a little bit colder up north. But after this cold spell, we are going to see some hot temperatures. Chandler, yes, what does it look like for the rest of the state?
Well, it looks a lot like all that sunshine that we see on this graphic here. For the most part, we're going to see a decent amount of beautiful skies, but right now we're looking at cloudy conditions across the area. Daytona Beach has the sun peeking out above the clouds, but Orlando, you guys have some clouds as well as Gainesville and Miami. So overall, pretty dreary conditions, but that's only going to be temporary as the front moves through. We have some droughts off to our west, and a decent amount of Florida is in that abnormally dry to a little bit of a moderate drought, but that should the cold front should help fix that situation. When we're looking at that satellite radar, again, we can really spot that front as it's kind of sweeping its way through. Of course, we saw that earlier this morning, but it is making its way across the Florida Peninsula as we speak. And in South Florida, we see some rainy conditions starting to make their way offshore, but a little bit of that was a little bit convective. Hopefully that helped with some of the wildfires that are occurring down in the South Florida Everglades and Big Cypress National Preserve. Then we also have this front still making its way into the central Florida region. We can expect some a little bit not so great driving conditions if you're on I-75 and I-4. So if you're going to be driving here in about next 30, the 1 hour time frame, probably need to prepare for a little bit of rain on your commute. As for the North Florida region, you guys are currently seeing that rain sweeping through the Jacksonville area, and so it's finally exiting. Of course, we saw the rainy conditions earlier today, but no longer the case. Now we're just sitting at beautiful conditions, as well as Pensacola. We're both sitting at that 60 and below mark. Pensacola is already at 52 degrees. And contrast that with Key West, which is at 79 degrees. We have a large temperature gap of 27 degrees currently, and we'll actually see that kind of progress later on. But we also see current dew points are quite large in difference. 72 degree dew point in Key West, very muggy conditions, but Pensacola and Tallahassee were at 34 and 44 respectively. So quite awesome conditions overall. Of course, this is February, so we do like to see a little bit of a cool down. Of course, that won't stick around too long, but that future radar does show the front quickly make its way across the Florida Peninsula, and we'll see some easterly wind flow as well. But overall, we'll maybe see a little bit of convergence down in South Florida as well. On Sunday, maybe some showers still expected for the South Florida region. But as for that rainfall forecast, again, we'll see a little bit of that rain accumulating. Hopefully that will help with some of the droughts, specifically in this region, which is probably the worst part of the drought in our state. And as for that 3-day forecast that we always love to do, Miami, you guys will be sitting around 80 pretty much all day long. Of course, maybe a couple straight showers on Saturday, but overall comfortable conditions. As for Tampa, again, 75, you guys will get a little bit cooler, but heat right back up near 80. 82 on Sunday, maybe a couple stray showers off the coast. As for Orlando, again, 72, a little bit cooler, but then heating up to 85 by Sunday and Monday. And as for Jacksonville, we're also going to see some cooler conditions on Saturday, but it's warming back up. And Pensacola, you guys will actually be quite cool, staying around 70 all throughout the weekend. But now we'll expand the view and look at the southeast with Nikki.
Thank you, Chandler. Yes, I am going to be speaking about the southeast today, but first we're going to start by looking at some of the southeastern places. Right now, a beautiful sunset in Clemson, South Carolina, right over the Tiger Stadium. Some beautiful colors in there, as well as in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tampa, very close to my hometown. Another beautiful sunset, a little bit cloudy, and Georgia is also cloudy right now. Our current conditions, as you can see, Florida is a lot warmer than the rest. The farther up north you go, it's getting exponentially colder. 77 in Miami, 35 in Nashville, and we're staying mild right here in Tallahassee with that 60 degrees. Our current dew points, Tallahassee is actually a lot drier than I feel like we usually are, 44, and of course drier the farther north you go, and then when you get down to places like Miami and Tampa, you get in the 60s and 70s. For our current satellite, as we have been talking about, we have a front coming through. We have a honker of a front. Our low pressure system bringing that down to the eastward direction. It was up through Tallahassee this morning. It did rain all throughout my class today, so I didn't really get to see it, but I did come in when it was warm and I came out when it was cold, so that was interesting. But as you can see, that warm or that dry air is coming through as the cold front has shown us. And the drought monitor, as you can see, in towards the west in the Texas area, we got a lot of drought going on, more severe, and we have a few moderate drought throughout Florida. And through the next couple days over the weekend, it should be pretty clear. We got some winds going through, but as you can see, there's not too much rain in our area in the southeast that we're looking at here. And again, not too much rain, just minimal rain in Charleston and Miami, but most of the places in this area should be clear. For tonight's forecast, we are just seeing a little bit chillier temperatures, so make sure that you're looking at what's going on. Whatever you're planning to do, make sure you dress accordingly. But of course, in Florida, the farther south you go, the warmer it is, so you shouldn't really have to worry as much about that. You can wear a t-shirt in Miami, but you gotta maybe pull out the parka for Nashville. For tomorrow's forecast, we are going to be seeing just gorgeous temperatures, very mild in Tallahassee, 65 degrees. A little bit cooler as you go north, but honestly gorgeous weather. And then, as I said again, the farther south you go in Florida, the warmer it's going to get. 73 in Orlando, 75 in Tampa, 81 in Miami. But, you know, it's pretty mild here. I heard that there's some stuff going on in the Northeast, though, Ryan.
Yeah, that's correct. And unfortunately, the milder temperatures aren't really the same as they are in the Northeast as they are here in the Southeast. 35 degrees right now was the high temperature today in Burlington, 51 degrees in Syracuse, 54 at Penn State, 59 degrees in Boston, 61 in New York. And what we're seeing is a lot of lake effect snow behind it coming off Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. We're also seeing a big swath of rain going through New York, even down towards the nation's capital, Carolinas, some snow up getting into Canada and Maine, lots of active weather around. Taking a closer look, just all up and down the I-95 corridor, we're seeing lots of shower and snow activities, even some mixing. Future radar does show this pushing out, however, clearing up for your Saturday, just a few clouds around, maybe a stray snow shower or two. But rainfall-wise, we're going to see a couple of spots get close to 0.1 inch of rain in Boston, up there in Portland as well, also seeing some good rainfall. Next couple hours, temperature-wise, though, it's going to get pretty cold pretty quickly. So tomorrow, we're going to see about 14 degrees in Burlington, 19 degrees in Syracuse, 22 degrees in Portland, and 27 degrees in Boston. So this is kind of, I want to say, warmer than it was a few weeks ago when we saw those temperatures that were very, very cold. They were getting into record territory there with just, what was it, almost nearing wind shows of 100 below. We're not going to get quite there, but we are going to get pretty cold pretty quickly. So definitely, even we're seeing Richmond, Virginia, Roanoke sitting in the upper 20s and 30s. Baltimore, Maryland, 29 degrees. 29 degrees in New York. 21 degrees out in State College. So if you want to go skiing, maybe that's more to move. If you're wanting to go get maybe some Penn State ice cream, I don't know if that's really the move because it is going to be pretty cold. 19 degrees in Syracuse and 27 degrees in Boston. So even though baseball season is starting to getting close to spring training, thankfully those games are being played in Arizona and Florida, not quite as cold as is here in the Northeast, where it's just frigid throughout most of the area, getting really, really cold temperatures. But Chandler, how do the weather balloons work and weather radio suns?
Well, they take basically a measure of the atmosphere, and they can look at the temperature profile that you were kind of showing us. That, of course, is more surface temperatures, but sounding actually will take a closer look at the temperatures stretching from the surface all the way up to sometimes the tropopause and even the stratosphere. But first off, gives us information about vertical profile of the atmosphere in multiple other regards, not just temperature. So we also look at dew point as well as the wind. We'll show you a picture of one here in a second. But we created this data using radiosonde that is attached to a weather balloon. Of course, not the type of balloons that we've been seeing on the news lately. These are they still can get very large, but they do not carry an instrument the size of 3 buses. But this radiosonde, it's a little small package. Usually it's enough to measure that temperature and dew point and wind that we find so valuable. But we plotted on what's called a skew T log P diagram. It's kind of just a large math term that we like to make things a little bit easier to read using that kind of scaling. But basically, this is what we see from this data. Whenever the balloon rises in the atmosphere, we get measurements of the temperature, which is this red line, and we get measures of the dew point, which is this green line. So between these two measurements, we can really tell, okay, if they're close together, usually that means there's clouds. So today, this morning actually, we had clouds in the sky and pretty close to the surface, which that does match with what we saw when we were waking up this morning. And then, of course, we can also see that wind as well. Wind profile, typically how we read this is the barbs are pointing towards where the wind is coming from. So the winds were going this way, and then they kind of shifted a little bit and pointed a little bit more just towards my general left direction. But overall, that does give us a profile of the shear and the activity going on. And during severe weather, we actually use the CAPE and SIN values from this chart to understand if there's going to be any severe weather potential. But that's not really the case as of right now. In fact, what are we looking at really for the most part, Elizabeth?
So the main weather statement that we are looking at right now is that heat that is going to be coming into the area. Although it may not seem like it now, next week, at least in the state of Florida, we could possibly hit close to 90 degrees. So this is right now. We have our cold front sitting right over us, and those reds mean that it is very warm, obviously, in the southern part of the state. And then this is our temperature map, how it kind of moved around like that. This is next Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time, and we see this warm area move more north, and we're sitting at most of the southeast and much of the central part of the country is sitting at pretty warmer temperatures for this time of year. And then we have our 6 to 10-day temperature outlook. So this is up until next Wednesday to Sunday. We're seeing very much above average temperatures for most of the state of Florida, all of Georgia, South Carolina, and the state of, or like the southern and central portion of Alabama. As of right now, we're sitting at very much below average, though, for the western part of the country. But that is not really what I am trying to discuss here. Here is a closer look at this above average area. And so that is going to be a big change in our weather patterns. So on Monday, this is at 4 p.m. on Monday, we're sitting at 78 here in Tallahassee, 85 down in Miami, and we're actually still going to be in the lower 70s up in the northern part of the southeast region and hitting 80 in parts of Texas. On Tuesday, we're going to see those temperatures rise, 81 here in Tallahassee, 80 in Tampa, 84 in Miami, and again, seeing mainly mid-60s, mid-70s across the rest of the southeast. Here we go. We are going to continue to warm up, 86 in Tampa, 86 in Miami, pretty much close to 80 across the rest of the area. And then hot, 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 hot for the majority of the state. We're sitting at 86 in Tampa, 85 in Miami, all the way up to Memphis is sitting at 76 by Thursday, my bad. Next, I'm going to pass it off to Nikki to see what's going on around town.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It is going to be an interesting weekend for sure. Our current local radar is showing that it's pretty clear out. As I said, that honker of a cold front has moved past Tallahassee and is moving towards the east of Florida. So we don't have to worry about that anymore, but it is bringing colder temperatures for the weekend. For our futurecast, we are seeing, as I said, the temperatures are getting a little bit lower than we've been used to the past few days. And as we can see, as we keep going through the weekend, we're getting highs in the 60s, but still it's going to be pretty chilly. So make sure when you go out, check the time, see what the temperature is, make sure that you're dressing appropriately so that you're not chilly when you go outside. If you're going to College Town tonight, maybe playing Flip at Township or going to Madso for dinner, or going out to recess, you could be seeing some colder temperatures, so make sure you are dressing appropriately for that. I would not want to be going out to dinner and just being cold if I'm sitting outside. Maybe even go inside if you're going to be in that area. Our dog walk forecast, we can see Evan's adorable dog on the screen here. If you're walking your dog in the morning, if you got a little vest for your dog, maybe you want to put that on it. Unless it's a pretty furry dog, then it should be fine. But as you go up and the sun comes up, it should be just an absolutely gorgeous day to walk your dog. And if you're driving around this Saturday, having a little road trip, maybe driving to celebrate Mardi Gras in Louisiana, maybe turn the heat on in the morning. But as the sun comes out more and it warms up a little bit, maybe you can have a drive with the windows down, blast some music, have a good time on this beautiful weekend. If you're going on a plane this weekend, there should not be any delays in Tallahassee, and you should be good to fly basically anywhere in the country. It's a little bit colder in some places, so make sure if you're going somewhere, you know what to expect when you get there. If you are going to view the stars, not a great night to do that. It will be pretty cloudy. But for the weekend, you can see just gorgeous temperatures, but as you go into Monday and Tuesday, it is going to start getting really warm. So, yeah. Now I'm going to pass things over to Ryan.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Overall, across the area, we were seeing gorgeous sunsets, gorgeous weather just across the area. Taking a look at the FSU Sportsplex, if you have an intramural game tonight, looking all right. Panama City, Lake Bradford, also gorgeous sunsets across the area. Temperature-wise, though, tonight, we are going to get a little cool. So maybe if you're going out, especially later tonight, as you get out the door tomorrow, have a hoodie or something to keep you warm, because we're going to be waking up with temperatures along the coast nearing 40. Temperatures in the central area, 36 degrees in Tallahassee, 35 degrees in Bainbridge, 36 in Valdosta. So it's going to be cool, but the warm-up is coming. So tomorrow, 65 degrees. So if you want to head out to the res, maybe get a sailboat, it's going to be gorgeous temperatures. Winds at about 10 miles per hour, so we are going to have a little bit of a kind of wind chill. We've got FSU softball down in Clearwater this weekend, where it's going to be pretty similar temperatures, maybe a little bit cooler, 69 degrees near the end of the game. Rain chances, though, are staying pretty low. And if you're going out to the Civic Center tomorrow for the men's basketball game against Boston College, 53 degrees at tip-off, getting to 59 degrees around halftime, and by the end of the game, 62 degrees. I think temperature-wise, just bringing something to keep you warm is going to be good. Even if you're heading out to the baseball game tomorrow, I know we've been watching the game all day today. We're super excited that FSU baseball is finally back. 2 o'clock tomorrow at Dick Hauser Stadium, 59 degrees at first pitch, getting to about 62 degrees by the middle of the game, 60 degrees by the end of the game for the walk back home. And then continuing on Sunday, we're continuing to play James Madison. About temperature-wise, we're going to be pretty similar. 66 degrees at about 1 o'clock, 63 by the end of the game. For the second part of the softball game, 75 degrees at 1 o'clock on, I believe that would be Sunday. Just gorgeous temperatures across Clearwater and all Florida, really. We're seeing in kind of like really nice spring-like temperatures. 67 degrees on, I believe that would be Sunday for the women's basketball at the Civic Center. Again, going to almost 70 degrees. But taking a look at the week ahead, let's take a look at, we're getting pretty warm pretty soon. So Saturday, 65 degrees, we're going to start the morning off a little chilly. Then getting to Sunday, we're warming up a little bit. Rain chances are around, not really too high though, 10%. Then getting into early next week, we're going to be nearing 80 degrees by Tuesday. Chandler.
Thank you for that. We'll take one last look at Doak Campbell Stadium. Beautiful sunset going on over a beautiful stadium. Current conditions are great, of course. Current temperatures across the area are near 60, but we're falling off pretty rapidly. Bainbridge, you guys are at 56. Thomasville at 54. But overall, beautiful conditions. More seasonable right now. Of course, we're going to see that warm up and a change back to the warmer pattern that we've seen. That cold front, though, is rapidly making its way across North Florida. Big Bend is clear as of now, and we'll see that those clear conditions persist for the next few days. In fact, Futurecast shows we'll see maybe a few clouds, but then we'll have that northerly flow that brings cooler air for us for the first part of Saturday. But then we'll start to see that easterly shift, and eventually that will bring in a little bit warmer air throughout the rest of the week. Sunday we'll also see some clouds roll in, but no showers attached to them. 35 degrees, though, is what we expect to see overnight tonight. Partly cloudy skies with winds out of that north direction. Of course, 35 degrees, maybe you want to bring in any delicate plants that you have, bring them inside. Keep them indoors for tonight so they don't die in the cold. For the weekend ahead, though, we have beautiful conditions, but for the week ahead, we start to see a really big warm-up, getting up to the mid-80s by Thursday and Friday. Crazy warm-up, crazy pattern that we've seen, but to break it all down and just summarize it, we're going to go over to the desk.
Thank you so much, Chandler. As a big theme of the show we've seen is going to be a gorgeous weekend in Tallahassee as we go in, and then it'll be warming up throughout the week, so we really have to take advantage of it now. Do you have any fun plans this weekend, Elizabeth?
Well, my best friend is in town this weekend. She's here with us in the studio today. And I really think that we should be taking advantage of this gorgeous weather because it's going to get hot next week. What are you doing this weekend?
I agree. I'm actually going to be playing football tomorrow with the American Meteorological Society Club, and it should be an exciting time.
Exactly, and make sure to bring your jackets if you're heading out anywhere this weekend.
Yeah, make sure, a lot of people here are from Florida, and when it gets below 70, we got to pop on that jacket.
Exactly. I like the cold, but not like this kind of cold. I don't know. It's just not for me personally.
I'm a big cold fan, but as someone who's never really lived somewhere that's that cold, I can't really know for sure if it's actually that good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter at FSU Weather.
And make sure you're liking us on Facebook. We post a lot on all of our social medias.
And then right now, you're most likely watching us on YouTube, so continue to watch us live at FSU Weather on YouTube.
And make sure you follow us on Instagram, and make sure you follow us on TikTok as well. We are posting a lot of videos on there right now, so make sure you're staying tuned to all of our social medias.
Exactly. Thank you so much for watching. I'm student meteorologist Elizabeth Temple.
And I'm Nikki Kanax, and we're going to pass it over to Ryan for this last look at the 7-day.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a honker of a show so far. And weather-wise, we're going to see a honker of a warm-up ahead of us. This weekend, seeing the 60s and 70s, but getting towards mid-next week, we're going to be warming up very, very quickly. It's going to be such a fast warm-up that we're going to have to get rid of our warm layers and get our summer gear ready to go. Have a great night. Thank you so much for watching FSU Weather tonight.